Hello everyone and welcome to Geekonomy channel. I'm your detective host Igor and today we're gonna talk about Severance and I'm super excited. I know this video is probably not gonna reach even 1000 views. It's not in the hype, it's not in the trends right now. But I'm so excited to talk about this TV show. This is one of my favorites. We are less than 1 month away from season 2. A long awaited season 2, and I deep dive into episode 1 today, and look, it honestly seems like I'm starting to get what the hell is going on in Lumen and what is their main goal, and I cannot take all of the credit to myself. A lot of it thanks to you, to your comments, some things that you noticed that I would never notice, and together as a small community of a little bit crazy people who watch TV shows with a magnifying glass, maybe we're gonna be able to understand what is going on in Severance. Now, before we begin, as usual, I want to thank such an amazing, awesome people that support me on Patreon and on YouTube here. Your financial support is what makes this channel possible. And to tell you a small secret, today and yesterday I had a conversation with my main clients in my day job as a freelancer video editor, and I told them, guys, I love you, but in 2025 the only thing I'm gonna do is YouTube. It's a bit scary, but knowing I have you, my dear sponsor, it makes it a little bit easier. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And now, let's dive in. Now, if you are new to my videos, usually we don't start right away with the main plot points. We do a little warm-up, we go through some symbolism, some interesting Easter eggs. So this is why I want to take notice right now on the drop logo symbol that some people in Lumen wear and some people don't. Now, water can symbolize, the drop of water obviously can symbolize a lot of things. So trying to understand why Lumen decided to put water here, the drop of water, is a bit too much, because honestly, as I told you, it can mean 100 different things, and we know that Lumen basically creates and produces everything. Those guys do absolutely everything that any corporate company can do in United States. But it's interesting for me why some people wear the drop and some people wear a different symbol of Lumen. It's supposed to differentiate somehow between those people, but how? We still don't know. So we can see the drop everywhere basically when Mark goes into the severed floor. We can see it on the glasses that people are drinking, like Mrs. Selvig here, but as I told you, Mr. Milchik here, he is wearing a different kind of pin. We can see the whole Lumen symbol here. So what is the difference between him and Mrs. Selvig, who is not wearing at all, any pin at all? There is also Miss Casey, who is also wearing a drop, and there are also different people who are wearing this kind of symbol like Mr. Milchik wears. And I still cannot understand what is the difference between those two groups, how they are different. Anyway, we're moving forward and let's talk a little bit about colors, because colors are very important in Severance, especially their combinations. And we start with green and yellow. We've seen green and yellow when Haley R wakes up. Okay, this is very important to see this color in this particular moment, because this is where we start to make a new human. So we're seeing this also here in the entrance when Mark is going into Lumen, he starts to work. This guy is also wearing a badge with green and yellow. When you enter the severed floor, you are seeing green chairs, you're seeing once again yellow and green carpet. The green and yellow combination is very important to Lumen. Now, usually when I start to research something, I read simultaneously a little bit in Google and a little bit in ChatGPT. At this point, I'm not looking for answers, I'm looking for threads. Like, if there is something that I find in Google or in ChatGPT that basically tells me, okay, dig there, this is where I go deeper. If not, if there's nothing there, I usually just move on. But here, ChatGPT gave me basically a lot of bullshit. The only thing that kind of caught my eye is that it's in Western culture, it usually connected to recycling, to eco-friendly energy. So yeah, I started to look a little bit at the logos, at the symbols. A lot of them are green and yellow. Is there a connection there with our TV show? Feels a little bit like a stretch. But then you remember this moment when Irving is throwing a paper in the basket and it's written there, Lumen recycles. Something that once again caught my eye is the choice of the camera angle. It's really focused on this symbol, Lumen recycles. And it right away felt like the creators are trying to tell us something, and it kind of hit me, you know, this is what they do. they recycle people. They recycle human beings. Broken people like Mark S., like Irving, as we know, they need recycling, or at least Lumen thinks that they need recycling. They need to be recycled into something else, something better, like we take a plastic bottle and we recycle it to something, I don't know, for a pacifier for a child, whatever, I don't know how it works, but you know how recycling works. You take something that is not working, not beneficial anymore for the society, and you turn it into something helpful. But for Lumen, something helpful is a little bit different than for everybody else. So we're moving forward. Another combination of colors that is important in Severance is blue and red, and this is way more prevalent than even green and yellow. We're seeing here like Mark has a blue fish and a red fish. We're seeing him wearing a blue navy suit when he's at work, and the red t-shirt, no, it's a sweater like when he's outside, when he's outie. And we're seeing like this kind of a red table, very red, because those people that sit around this table, this is a complete antithesis to people that work in Lumen. This is, you know, like vegan, enlightened, super like we are very aware of everything that happening, blah 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 kind of people. Not my type of people, but you know, like they are not bad people, they're just very pretentious, they're very like spiritual and so on and so on. Wouldn't want them to be my friends. Anyway, another combination of colors, like even in those small details, when Mark is sitting in this kid's bed, it's kind of blue and red. We have this combination a lot here. This is the most prevalent combination of colors in this TV show. So this moment kind of made me stop a little bit. Like this was a humoristic moment when Rickon is telling Mark like, you know, basically we don't want to traumatize our child for making him move from one bed to another, because like I don't know why, but this will traumatize him and he needs to have 3 beds and decide by himself when to move to the next bed. And for right now I cannot really connect it to something that we have already seen, but we know that people, the Innies in Lumen, they are like children. Even in Lexington letter it's written like black and white, they are children. She was even told, like the hero of the Lexington letter, she was told that her Innie is gonna be like a child growing in a new world. And this whole technique, how to raise children, feels a little bit connected to what we've seen in Lumen. I cannot give you an example of 3 beds, you know, 3 beds in quotation marks for our Innies, but once again it feels connected. So since we already started to talk about our Innies, let's dive a little bit about Lumen and try to understand what is going on there. First of all, we know there are many severed locations, and we know that there are a lot of severed people. We are seeing here 9 lockers, and we know that in the refining data department there are 4 people and 3 new ones, as we have seen already in season 2. But if we're counting everybody who is like working there, even in R&D and other departments, it's way more than 9 people. So it kind of seems logical that there's supposed to be like 9 people in his department, but probably it's very mixed. So even though they're being released separately and they're entering this place separately, just to make sure that there's absolutely no chance that they will encounter each other in this place. Outside, okay, but in this place, never. So we are also seeing here, since we talked a little bit about recycling, we're seeing here at the keyboard some symbols, like in the lower part of the keyboard. I don't know what the fuck with the stairs, I don't know what's supposed to mean, the arrows and everything, but the upper side with those kind of recycling symbols once again kind of made me feel like there is something to work here in the theory of recycling people. And I have more information about it, and we're gonna discuss the whole theory in the end of this video. So we're moving forward, just a small detail that I noticed, not necessarily connected to everything I've talked about until this moment, but it's just nice details. I've seen like this small paper here when Mr. Milchik enters. I zoomed in. This is like a morning routine, usually what like in the next episode this is what Mark is gonna do. And since Petey didn't come here, nobody took this paper here, nobody did the morning routine. Another interesting thing that we need to get clarification about, hopefully in season 2, is how the whole severance process works. Like, it presented to us like there is a floor and there is some kind of like maybe a chip or some kind of a sensor that senses your chip, and at one place you're being severed, and as soon as you leave the premise you are yourself again, you are your alti. But we have seen in the like future episodes that you can switch on the chip and you can switch on the ini even when he's outside. So is it all just for show, and it's just somebody who is basically pressing a button every time they're leaving this place? Or maybe there's once again some kind of an autopilot there with the possibility to, you know, like to switch them on and to switch them off whenever it feels necessary to the management. Anyway, I would love to get more clarification how it actually works. So here is a small thing that kind of made me smirk a little bit. Like, look at the cubicles and look at where their chairs are placed. Some kind of like a small carpet. Look, I remember my time in the office, like I spent a lot of years in the office, and you can get crazy of all of this, you know, like this pretty much dead atmosphere, like most of the time. No matter at what startup you work, no matter how many great food you have there, still if you work in four walls, there is sometimes a feeling of being like deprived of, I don't know, sunlight and being outside in the world and so on and so on. And what I used to do, like I would take my chair in the hall, like if I'm going somewhere, and like a little kid I would jump on it and, you know, like drive on it until my next location from point A to point B. And here we can see, yeah, they can move the wheels on the green carpet, but it's obviously not going to be very mobile, and they are very confined to this small place where they're supposed to sit. This feels a lot like a mental prison, and we are seeing this whole episode is about hell. Okay, so this is like the title of the episode. So once again we are seeing that they are being observed from every point, or like we've seen in the trailer, Haley R is looking at the moment when she, like her ini is kissing Mark ass, and those are the cameras, by the way, because she was looking like from every possible angle. Yeah, so this is like one of the things that I actually enjoy, like the small tiny details that connect when I'm seeing some moment and then I'm like watching episode 1 and those are the cameras. It's very important for the administration to observe them leave and to observe them when they get in, to check that everything is okay. This is why there are so many cameras in this one particular spot. Now, we've seen so far that there's a lot of emotionless walls, and the watch is even without numbers. Everything is completely deprived of emotions in this place. But, you know, when Mark was hit by Haley R and Mr. Milchik is helping him, we can see that the band-aid has a tiny drop with a sad smiley face. And it felt like way more emotional, once again kid-like, like you're treating kids with a band-aid that looks nice. Usually like you buy band-aids with a Spider-Man for your child, so he will feel better that he got an owie. And here we have something very similar. Once again, it's pretty bland in the blue color like everything in Lumen, but still it has some kind of a sad smiley like, oh, you got an owie, now we're gonna help you. So yeah, once again a small observation about how everything in this place is raising new children, like raising new people, even though they are in a grown-up body and they have a lot of information in their brain like states in America, but still in their like development, psychological, emotional development is very, very childlike. So yeah, we're moving forward to the creating new humans process, the whole first scene with Haley R, how it worked. First of all, Lumen did it many times, or they're pretty smart. They know exactly what is the trainee gonna ask. Like you can see here, trainee statement, who is speaking, like you have all the possibilities. Whatever they're gonna say, you're gonna know what to answer. We've seen that Haley R is surprised them, obviously she's a special one, but there's a lot of things that she would say or anybody else would say and they know an exact answer for them. So here we can see like she knows the answer to what state, like name me a state in America, and she's like Delaware, yeah. But then there's a very weird question like, what is Mr. Egan's favorite breakfast? And even Mark is like, when she's saying this is a stupid question and it makes no sense, even Mark is like, really? Like, yeah, I mean, like, I agree with you. No, question 5. So this is a general information. We have 5 questions, okay? 3 of them are personal. What is your name? What state do you live in? And what is the color of your mom's eyes? And 2 of them about general knowledge. One of them is about like the outside world, name a state, And one of them is more about inside world, because in the inside world there is a lot of worship of Mr. Egan, Kir Egan. You can argue that they're asking about her like father, because we know that Haley is his daughter, the new boss, the main boss right now. And maybe, but once again, there is a logic why she is asked that, but there is no logic like why would anybody else, any other trainee would be asked that. And since there is a manual, everybody else supposed to be asked the same question. And the fact that she doesn't know the answer once again makes me feel stronger about my theory that this whole place is creating new humans to worship Kir. We are recycling humanity here. We are creating new humans. Every time there is an expendable human out there, you know, like, ooh, he's not working anymore, he's useless, we can recycle this motherfucker and make him work in Lumen, the place that creates basically everything in this alternative universe. And the reason I'm saying this alternative universe, because we know this town is called Kir. Okay, this is not a real place, it doesn't exist in our world, gladly. Please stay that way, don't create that kind of city. We're moving forward, and I have a question more for you right now. Like we can see here, there is some kind of a human intervention here in the manual. We see the question as a reminder, this is the last question, and it's been scratched and it's written by hand, final. Now, I don't see a reason to do that. Like once again, as you can hear, obviously English is not my main language. Maybe you know what is the difference. Last and final sounds to me like a synonyms, basically saying the same thing. But it's been scratched, and somebody did that. If somebody did that for a production of a big TV show, it probably should have some kind of a small reason. I don't know what it is, but I would love to know your opinion about it. So we see in here about like their work in the refinement data center, and we can see that Mark S has an achievement, and it's written Allentown. Now Allentown is a real place, and probably it's not like they're saying to Mark that his outie lives in Allentown. I don't think this is the deal, maybe I'm wrong, but it kind of feels that maybe Mark S got this prize after he refined a whole data called Allentown, because when we move on and when they open the computer, we're seeing the different file folders, and they all have a name of a real place. Like we have Bellingham here, which is in Washington. We have Cairns, which is a place in Australia. We have Coleman, which is Louisiana. We have Culpeper, actually exists in Virginia. And we have Drainsville, which without even checking sounds like a location. And it's in Virginia, as I told you. So even the Lexington letter, as we know, like everything that happened there, the whole kaboom there, is because Ini there was refining a file named Lexington. So why they're refining files with the names of a different locations? So as I told you, as soon as she finished refining this file called Lexington, did it in 2:30, and 2:32 somebody blew up a truck of Lumen's main competitor. Coincidence? If it was, I would be really surprised, because otherwise then what's the point of this letter? If this all a coincidence, then this letter doesn't have any meaning at all and doesn't have any significance for the story, which is pretty doubtful. So let's talk a little bit about hell. We're already starting to move away from the Lumen, but we have a quote from Mrs. Selvig here, and she's saying like the hell is just a product of human imagination. This is basically what her atheist mom used to tell her, and everything that human can imagine, they can actually recreate. This is basically the creators talking to us and telling to us this place is hell. Get ready for the adventure. Now, next time when she sees outside Mark, her mom is already a Catholic, and she's saying that basically in order to bless a baby, you have to take 8 hours. I think it's also not a coincidence that they in Lumen work for 8 hours shift. They start at 9 AM, they finish at 5 PM. So once again, maybe some kind of a small coincidence, they are blessing each child. This is the 8 hours in Lumen, this is a blessing. We're creating new humans, better, you know, like someone who will worship Kir Egan and his legacy, his disciples and his children. Better, amazing human who work and they're like stupid like children, a little bit. Yeah, there is also, by the way, I googled, there is some kind of a movie that has a weird name, and like once again, like Google and ChatGPT told me this sentence is from this movie, but you will have to kill me to watch this movie. It looks horrible. I'm not gonna do it, and I don't think it's very important at this point. So yeah, we're moving on, and we're seeing here that Mark lives in a small village called Beard Creek, and it's freaking empty. Look, think about it. In every episode, we never seen people there, like maybe one or two that I don't remember, but it's always either Mark or Miss Selvig. Looks like nobody lives there. This is obviously a place that was built by Lumen. Even if there are some people that live there, there are not many. I mean, remember in the trailer we have seen the newspaper, and this is, by the way, something that you pointed out in the comments below the video, below my analysis of the trailer, that in this section about the robber, his name is basically Beard Creek Robber. So once again, not a coincidence. And if you look once again at the place, you have this small town, you have a bridge, and you have the Lumen complex. Nothing else, no more industries there, just some people that work in the bars and in the shops, and everybody else works at Lumen. It feels like a little bit like a military town, like when like there is a military base and there are houses for the people who serve on the military base. Kind of similar here, not the same, but the principle is similar. This whole place was built specifically for this base, for this Lumen base, if you can call it like that. Now, in this conversation, we get to know a little bit about Gemma, Mark's wife that he lost in the car accident, and we know that she was a professor of Russian literature. I hate this word. I mean, with my pronunciation, literature. So we can see here that Mark's watch has a symbol of Russian airborne unit. Like this was their symbol, I think, in the Soviet Union. I don't know if it's still there, but we also have the red star from Mother Russia. And yes, this is probably a gift from his wife. And we've seen it a couple of times, this watch, so maybe it's going to be important. Maybe it's going to be something that Gemma will be able to see and somehow remember about her connection to her husband, sorry. And at this moment, I kind of finally understood why Miss Cobell is always like bugging Mark, and she's basically leaving her trash bins in his place. She wants to have this conversation with Mark. Mark is calling her like 3-4 times a day. She's basically telling her, you left it in my place. And she's like, playing it stupid. Oh, I didn't know. I thought the garbage men are coming today and I wanted to help them. This is her way to control him. Mark is obviously special. He's the only one who gets this kind of a treatment. I don't know if he's special for the whole Lumen project, but he's 100% special for Miss Cobell or Miss Selvig, or call her whatever you want. And this is how she manages to track on him, to keep control. Yeah, so it's interesting, and we are actually getting to the final part, and here I would love your help because I'm seeing this note once again in the manual when Mark was interviewing Harley in the first conversation between them. What the hell is going on? Who is Mr. Reynolds? What is flame retarded man? What is go home the long way? What is those symbols from PlayStation? Why there is a star here? Once again, it looks like a Russian star. When I was a small kid in Ukraine school, I was drawing this star many times instead of studying. And we have some kind of a numbers that equal SR. No idea, completely emptiness in my brain right now, and I would love your help here. Please write to me in the comments, what do you think this is? Oh crap, I completely forgot to share my theory. So once again, this is thanks to you. I read your comments and some of you had this idea and kind of developed it in my head a little bit more. So think about it. As I told you, they are recycling humans. We have seen this. And this is their goal. This is their vision of creating a new world. In the end of the season, Haley's father is gonna say everybody's gonna have those chips. This is the vision. Everybody's gonna have them. In their mind, not just broken people like Mark S. or Irving need to be recycled. Even though it can sound like I'm thinking they need to be recycled. Obviously, I don't think like that. But not only those people, everybody is broken in their mind. Everybody needs to be recycled into a new person, and this new person is supposed to be raised into being this Kyr worshipper. This is they're gonna become a new gods. They're creating a new civilization. How do they do it? They basically make themselves create themselves. The reason it worked in Lexington letter is because someone's file was refined completely until 100%. Some person was completely changed to 100%. Their chip was actually ready and being turned on, and this is something that made them go and bomb the track. This is, once again, this is my opinion, this is me fantasizing, this is me feeling the holes, this is not a fact. Once again, this is just a theory, but it works in my head. This is how they create their army, this is the whole goal, and if you think about it, this is super evil, but it's also kind of genius. You get some people, like some broken people, you give them this escapism, and then you make them create more of themselves, more chips, and they're the one who are making, you know, the programming. They're removing the fear, they're removing the happiness, they're removing the emotions from somebody else who works in a different location, in a completely different location, in Lexington, in maybe Copper or whatever it's called. This is where they create new humans. Now obviously it doesn't answer all of the questions, like what the fuck with the goats, yeah, but still have no idea, but maybe we will. Anyway, I'm gonna go through all of the episodes and I'm gonna try my best not to fit everything that I see into my theory, but to be open-minded, and if there's gonna be something that breaks this theory, I hope I will be mature enough to admit that I was wrong. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you will be seeing the next one too. It's not like it's gonna affect if I'm gonna make those videos or not. I'm definitely gonna make them, even if like 10 people are gonna watch them, because I wanna be ready for season 2. Like when I did the similar thing for From, when season 3 was like airing, I was ready. I knew everything, every possible theory, every small detail, even though like it doesn't matter how sharp you are, you will miss something, but I want to be as ready as possible for season 2, and this is the best way for me to prepare, and hopefully some of you will join the ride. Thank you for watching this video. You can support this channel in any shape or form that feels comfortable for you, like, subscribe, comment, whatever, or you know, just by watching this video until this moment, you basically gave me everything I could have ever asked you for. I make those videos for you to watch them. Everything else is just a nice bonus. So I'm gonna see you on the next one. Bye!